I don't know how to start now. I like blanked out.
Oh, you supposed to
Oh.
say welcome to a podcast beneath.
Yeah.
I was waiting, like, what happened?
Yeah, I was just like, I thought we were live.
Yeah.
Dead silence.
Well, yeah, thank God we're not live. Thank God this wasn't our live episode.
This is we got a new podcast where it's just dead air the whole time.
Yeah.
And then some coughs.
This podcast is brought to you by Pringles
Yeah.
Crunch Flavor.
Welcome to a podcast from beneath. Tonight we'll be discussing City of the Living Dead. As always, I'm Carrie and I'm here with Eric.
Hello. Oh, I thought I was next.
Hey, I'm Bill.
Here you go. Let's do this again. My bad, guys.
Welcome
We
to a
tried to mix it
podcast
up
from
one
beneath.
time and everything's on fire. God damn it.
All right, we're reverting back to the old way.
Yep, 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 yep.
Welcome to a podcast from beneath. Tonight we'll be discussing City of the Living Dead. I'm here with Billy
How's it going?
and Eric.
Ew.
So join us for tonight's episode. So, did you guys see anything new or interesting?
Y'all might hate me for this, but I did go see Halloween.
Well, you're not allowed to talk about it.
Man, we hate this.
Yeah, I can't say anything, but I did. Girlfriend and them wanted to see it, so I went with them. But I will definitely see it with y'all. So we do a live episode.
Is it good enough for a review? For reviewing?
Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Hmm.
But I can't wait till y'all see it so we can have a discussion about something.
Yeah, so
Hint,
hopefully we
hint,
can do
next
that.
week's episode. Hint, hint.
Yeah, wink, wink.
Be sure to tune in next week and buy a couple t-shirts. Like, you can't enjoy the podcast fully unless you're wearing a Podcast from Beneath t-shirt.
And soon,
Or
yeah,
That's
soon we'll
right.
make hats.
We need podcast beanies.
Like coffee mugs, everything.
Yeah,
That's right.
but you can't rest that Podcast from me beneath coffee mug without the Podcast from Beneath. What's it called? Totally blanked. Never mind. Next.
So, did you see
Coaster.
anything
It's a
else
coaster.
besides Halloween?
I saw the first episode of season 3 of Daredevil.
Ooh, how's that?
The first episode looked good, like it's a promising start for a good season. Which is crazy because Iron Fist got, which I've never seen, but Iron Fist got canceled and so did Luke Cage.
Luke Cage, yes, after
I
two
heard Luke
seasons
Cage is
apiece.
really good, but
Yeah, I
I
mean,
did
I heard
hear
Luke Cage
Iron
is good
Fist was
too.
kind of crap.
I watched the first season of Luke Cage and it was really, really good.
Hmm.
Way better than I thought it was going to be.
Must have been a
think
money
probably-
issue.
I think probably the weakest was probably Iron Fist, I heard.
I didn't even watch Iron Fist.
Me either. I've only seen Daredevil.
I watched
And the
Daredevil,
Defenders.
Jessica Jones, Defenders, and then Luke Cage.
Hmm.
I just hope Daredevil don't get canceled.
Right.
Well, if it comes to shows, the only thing that I caught really was like the first episode of Man in the High Castle. It's a Amazon Prime exclusive show.
Is that any
I've
good?
seen- Man, the first two seasons are fucking brilliant. It's so good. It's not very horror related or anything, but it's like a what if thing. Like, what if Japan and Nazi Germany won World War II? So they like split America right down the middle. So it's just about all these like factions and just this like underground movement and stuff, and all kinds of weird shit.
Isn't it based off a book or something?
Yeah, it's actually by Philip K. Dick, the guy who did Blade Runner.
See, I got his book. Do Androids Dream of a Electric Sheep?
Yeah, I think what's his name? Ridley Scott. Yeah, Ridley Scott. I think he owns some kind of like chunk of the like I don't know the Philip K. Dick estate or
Library.
something. Yeah, because like he did that, and then he produces the show. Like he's a
Yeah.
producer on the show, so he must have some kind of stake in this. And he also did that other show on there, based on the same book called "Do Robots Dream of Electric Sheep" or something like that, or whatever it's called. I'm sure it's okay too.
Yeah. What about you, Carrie?
I actually watched a movie that's available on Amazon Prime, the streaming. It's called Never Open the Door. It was pretty good. The Actually, I guess the company or whoever started following us on Twitter
Hmm.
and put on there that their movie was available for streaming, so I watched it. It was pretty good. It's starts off with these couples having like a look like a Christmas dinner, maybe Thanksgiving, and the entire thing was black and shot in black and white. And somebody knocks at the door, and one of the girls, when they open the door, there's a guy standing there, and it looks like he's been just stabbed or maybe shot, and he kind of spits blood out on her, and then comes in the house and falls over and dies.
Ugh, what a
And
piss poor
then
house, I guess.
yeah, and then the girl that got the blood on her, she obviously goes to wash that off, and while she's in the bathroom, one of the characters gets a call from her saying that she's running late, but she'll be there. So then that kind of sets the whole story in motion of they're trying to figure out what's going on. But it was pretty good. So if you have Amazon Prime,
Check
definitely
it out.
definitely check it out. And then of course they have a website I think where you can purchase the probably the it's like the DVD or Blu-ray.
Physical copy, yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Mm.
called Never Open the Door. Written by Christopher Maltoro and Vito Trabucco,
Mm.
and directed by Vito Trabucco. So, but yeah, it was pretty good. Definitely worth a
DVD.
watch if you have Amazon.
I feel like Amazon's their quality is top notch, almost better than Hollywood sometimes.
It is.
In fact, I think a handful of Amazon movies have gotten Oscar nods.
I think they're producing the Suspiria remake also.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that's what the world needs. More remakes.
More remakes.
Or reboots. Not like remakes.
And it's the same thing.
it's
It's all the
Retelling.
same.
It's a retelling.
just a different word.
Or like what Rob Zombie tried to tell it, it's a reimagining.
Reimagining,
Ooh.
yes.
I turned Halloween into a shit show. I
Right,
Yeah, I
hate
and
watched
they
a
gave you
um
$150.
I was watching like a little, I guess you'll call it a documentary, but it was just a YouTube video. And I guess prior to him making Halloween, I guess they were interviewing him on MTV and he was like trashing remakes, saying how they should
Oh yeah,
never be done.
I
You
think
should,
I'd seen that
if
one.
I think he said something to the effect of, if you're a fan of like a director or a movie, to remake it just means you're shitting all over it and destroying it.
And then he saw that check, and he was like, "Well,
Yeah.
guess
Yeah,
I'll do it."
absolutely.
You're
Well,
paying me
there's
how much for
I th-
Halloween? Oh yes,
yeah, I
I
think
will
in
do
that
that.
same vein, he went and had some kind of interview after he made the first one, and he was just like, "There's no way he would make a sequel. Like that was his like iteration. He was done with it." And apparently, they paid him like 25% more to do a sequel because it actually made a lot of money, and he just did it for the money.
And then Roger Corman's like, "You want to put some boobies in it?"
God damn it!
I really thought we were going to get through this episode without that.
Never. I'll always sneak it on there, sneak it in our conversations somehow.
What I'll do is I'll edit out all the Roger Corman stuff.
And then just one episode of me just seeing Roger Corman's toast.
Yeah, and then if anybody wants to hear the Roger Corman talk, they'll have to go to patreon.com /. a podcast from beneath, chip in some money so they can hear the Roger Corman talk.
They can hear the
Man,
gold, the
shout
pure
out to the
comedic
audience. Take a
gold.
shot every time you hear the name Roger Corman.
There you go. It could be a drinking game.
There you go.
Good. I've done the Dawn of the Dead drinking game before, and it's like to take a shot for every time a zombie gets killed, and like a bunch of zombies, or like I think it's zombies get killed. Yeah, really can't make it through the whole film.
I mean, you can. I feel like you can kind of like cruise through most of the movie, but when those bikers bust in with like Tom Savini and stuff, you're totally just fucked. It's
Yeah.
over.
One more thing before we start the actual talk about the movie. I been reading. I guess it's a sequel to the Watchmen book. It's called Doomsday Clock,
Uh huh.
and it's about how the people from Watchmen are now in the DC universe. Like the comedian's not dead. That the guy who I can't remember Vite. He's actually a bad guy. And like enemy number one.
Hmm.
It's it's pretty good. And some Rorschach's alive, but it's like a different Rorschach.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Spoilers in case you haven't read the comics or seen that awesome Zack Snyder film.
Oh man.
The only
Which
awesome Zack Snyder film.
like HBO apparently is doing a series based on the Watchmen also.
Yeah, the guy that did the Leftovers for HBO, and the
Hmm.
Leftovers is a great show. I thought.
What's that all about?
What is it?
What's that all about?
The Leftovers were. It's about like the rapture, like millions of people. Like 1% of the world's population just vanishes,
Well,
and like people are just trying to cope with everything, and people think like certain things are uh what's the word I'm looking for? Like there's this town where like nobody vanished, so that's like everybody's trying to go there, see why it was so special, why no one vanished when all that stuff happened. It's really good.
Was it related to when Thanos snapped his
It
fingers?
could have been. You could tie it in. He
there
was
you
Thanos.
go. Everything just like leaks back into the Marvel Cinematic
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on to our feature presentation, one more plug here, and that would be our T-shirts that are available from Teespring. The URL is kind of weird, so I'll just tell you that you can get the link on Facebook um, or the Instagram page or the Twitter page because we're using Teespring. We don't have like a custom URL, but
Mm.
you should definitely go get a T-shirt so
Oh
we
yeah,
can get
one
some
T-shirt purchase is one prayer. Let's get that out there, guys.
there. Yeah, for every T-shirt that is sold, a dying kid gets a wish. Is
And
that
I
is that
and I
is that
sleep
what's big?
better.
Is that what's big on Facebook now?
And I sleep better at night if you buy a shirt.
Yeah, and plus we can get better equipment, and we're
Yeah.
also paying for our podcasting service now too. So I have to stop. I have to cut out like lunches now.
That's true. We have to send our
You have to
Billy
make
Boy
PB
to
and
college,
J's.
so
Yeah.
Millions of people. Like 1% of the world's population just vanishes,
well,
and like people are just trying to cope with everything, and people think like certain things are uh what's the word I'm looking for? Like there's this town where like nobody vanished, so that's like everybody's trying to go there, see why it was so special, why no one vanished when all that stuff happened. It's really good.
Was it related to when Thanos snapped his
It
fingers?
could have been. You could tie it in. He was
there you
Thanos.
go. Everything just like leaks back into the Marvel Cinematic
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on to our feature presentation, one more plug here, and that would be our T-shirts that are available from Teespring. The URL is kind of weird, so I'll just tell you that you can get the link on Facebook or the Instagram page or the Twitter page because we're using Teespring. We don't have like a custom URL. But you
Mm.
should definitely go get a T-shirt so
Oh
we
yeah,
can get
one
some
T-shirt purchase is one prayer. Let's get that out there, guys.
there. Yeah, for every T-shirt that is sold, a dying kid gets a wish. Is
And
that
I
is that
and I
is that
sleep
what's big?
better
Is that what's big on Facebook now?
and I sleep better at night if you buy a shirt.
Yeah, and plus we can get better equipment, and we're
Yeah.
also paying for our podcasting service now too. So I have to stop. I have to cut out like lunches now.
That's true. We have to send our
You have to
Billy
make
boy
PB
to
and
college,
J's
so
Yeah.
good in the movie. A
I'd
lot
have
of
to
weird
agree. Yeah,
editing. A lot of weird
A
editing.
lot of word editing. But let's
it's
let's
not. It's
let's start
definitely
at
a
the
'70s
beginning.
movie.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning. So the movie it starts black screen, and then you hear a woman scream, and then that music starts playing. And I'm
Hmm.
gonna say that that main theme song was probably one of the greatest things about the film.
The music's actually really good. Yeah, I
It
give
was
it that for
Goblin, wasn't
sure.
I'm not for sure who done the theme music. We can look that up real
it?
quick while we're talking.
Definitely sounds like it could have been on like Dawn of the Dead.
Let's see. Music by Fabio Frizzi.
Okay, so it wasn't Goblin.
Well, let's see. Let's see if is he from Goblin?
Oh,
Yeah, I
he
don't
was
know.
born in Bologna. All right.
Baloney, good. But yeah, so you have like just this woman scream, and then it cuts straight to the music playing with that piano and just the kick drum, and then you just see like the graveyard
Oh.
with like the priest walking in.
Yeah, and then you have all those title cards written by a guy who didn't know how to use a shift key.
Right.
And like the priest hangs himself.
Yeah, that was my next thing is because I watched it again today just as a refresher, and I'm trying to figure out how he hung himself
Was it?
because it looks like he just kind of floated up to the rope. And
Yeah,
There
then
was
when
nothing
it
underneath
cuts
him.
when it cuts to the widescreen, nothing for him to stand on. There was no chair kicked over.
he used to be a basketball player. He jumped, caught him, put his neck through
He
that.
just ran up. Kobe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it just looked really weird. Like it just looks like he floats up
Mm.
and then just like drop down. But after he kills himself, it kind of pans over to this zombie raising up out of the ground. But it
What?
looks but it looks like they just kind of like laid him down, whoever they buried there, and just kicked some surface dirt on him
Oh yeah.
because there was like hardly nothing on him when he raised up, just some dead leaves, like when he raises up.
Oh,
And
that's okay.
they start off that seance or where they're having, and the
Oh
girl
yeah.
screams and
Yeah,
she
the
just
seance.
dies.
Yeah, because she sees, I guess during the seance, and
The
that
city.
was our Mary Woodhouse was the character's name. I guess she's psychic and made a connection and was able to see this priest hang himself. And
I
I
And she
don't.
guess it,
also got
I
get
guess
a
it's,
good look
and
at that
it's,
tombstone.
yeah, the tombstone that gave all the exposition that you would need for the rest of the movie. And I'm gonna say that the exposition's what scared her to death.
It seems like in every Fulci film, it seems like there's always somebody whose last name's McCall. It seems like the names always look familiar in his movies, but I think it ends up always being like different people. Like he's not the same person.
I feel like that's just his way of just trying to make like an Americanized cast, like with like American names, and that's just what he thinks of.
Right.
Yeah,
Or yeah, or he's trying to do like a connected universe.
yeah.
He's trying to do like a Tarantino. All these characters are related to someone else in another movie.
So this like welcomes people into the Fulci cinematic universe.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know about y'all, but the one thing that I was just like, why is this even a movie? The character Bob.
Oh
The
man,
character
dude.
Bob, which we'll get to that in a second.
Hashtag justice for Bob.
Yeah. So so after the psychic is dead, We have the detective there interviewing the rest of the cult, I guess we'll call them.
What was it Enoch? Was his
Oh
name
Enoch.
of
yeah,
like
that one
the
gentleman,
book?
Detective Dickhead. He was just like just an asshole to everybody the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he
Like
had
he,
like a really bad voiceover. Like obviously the whole movie was was
ADRs.
dubbed, yeah. But this guy had the worst. It just didn't match his mouth movement, and the voice didn't match him at all.
Like
And he,
that whole scene when he was being shot as he walked in was very flat and just very just what do you call it? Just on one like little angle or whatever.
right,
Actually, a lot of this movie suffers from that, where they just didn't do anything interesting with the camera, and there was a lot of just like planted camera, zoom in and pan, that kind of thing.
but this detective here, he was wearing like that typical detective trench coat.
From the 70s.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's based on like real detectives or if everybody bases their detectives on Dick Tracy.
For
Like did
Serpico. Didn't
yeah,
he wear
did
like a
like
long trench jacket?
or Columbo. But I mean, dude, real detectives wear brown trench coats, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, the '70s. I'm surprised that this guy didn't say "jive turkey" or "86 yourself,"
Do you
you know,
really
to
want to hear that
anybody.
out of the voice that they gave that guy? You'd roll on the floor laughing. You'd die just like that woman did.
It would have made the character a little bit more interesting. Um,
But they all seemed very calm when that woman died.
yeah, I mean
Like they didn't care about like oh like that
they
woman. That woman was like, I'm used to this.
Mm.
yeah, and it's like I mean, like whenever the guy says she's dead, this woman loses it. She's like screaming to the top of her lungs.
Yeah.
But whenever this detective is asking her, because I guess he's dealt with her before, and he
Yeah.
mentions her religion, now she's just like, obviously just dumping exposition of the backstory of this epoch or whatever it is on him.
Oh
Enoch,
yeah.
I think was like 4,000 years old or something like that.
Yeah. But then
Yeah.
everybody in the room witnesses this fire like shooting from the floor
Oh yeah, and it's
and
never
then
brought up
reversing
again.
back down into the floor. And this cop is just like, who lives downstairs?
Oh yeah,
Like he thinks it's some kind of hoax, like they're putting
Yeah, and he's
um
like, it's been vacant for like 20 some years. I'm like, this is New York City. There's no way in hell a piece of property like that's gonna be vacant for 20 fucking years. It's
yeah.
somebody lives
prime real
down there.
estate, damn it.
But it's just the fact that this guy saw that and just, you know, immediately went to like a hoax or whatever. And then this is the at the point where the psychic looks right into the camera and is like warning the audience about what is about to happen. And it
And
kind
they,
of gives that almost breaking the fourth wall
Yeah, they try to do
or
that
or
Kubrick
kind of
stare.
yeah, kind of like maybe this was originally like a stage play and they didn't change any of that for the film.
or she just forgot she was making a movie.
Right. She got so into it.
Yeah, she was warning everybody not to watch this movie.
But then I guess the next part would be Bob,
Oh man,
the
Yeah,
weirdo who
poor
has
Bob.
his blow up doll in a fireplace.
yeah, in an abandoned house. Basically, the whole movie, he's just like walking around in a somewhere that's like windy and foggy.
Right.
That's the whole town, Dunwich.
That's yeah.
Dunwich, yeah.
Yeah, that whole town just got really spooky really fast, and everybody was just really cool about it at first.
But I've never used a blow up doll, so I don't know if you just throw them on the floor and they automatically inflate
Yeah, he just. I thought he was moving
like a
around.
raft.
You gotta pull the cord.
Yeah, I just assumed you had to blow them up like an airplane.
And
Oh
what was it
man.
that freaked him out when he was like trying to make out with the doll? What was it, like a
It was a dead baby.
Oh
dead
yeah, that's
baby?
Like
right.
I was
I
just
couldn't
thinking,
tell what it was.
what other movie are you going to see like a baby corpse covered in worms?
Oh, it was super decomposed too. It was just weird.
Yeah,
Not
it was.
not very movies will go to that level.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was a
especially
lot of gross
nowadays.
spaghetti on that baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it freaked him out, and he went running, and then the whole movie's just him running.
Yeah.
Freaked out.
Yeah. He just wanted a couple seconds in his fuck house or whatever he calls it. I don't know.
Yeah. His abandoned fuck house.
And I
It's
don't know
not
why he
abandoned when
didn't.
he comes around.
I don't know why he didn't grab the doll and take it with him. He
Yeah,
just
he just
left
like
it there.
left her there to die.
Well, after seeing that, are you gonna be in the mood? Nah.
I'd take it with me. Let's go somewhere more private.
Yeah.
After seeing that, he's more in the mood.
Let's go
Yeah.
somewhere. Let's go somewhere where there's not so many baby corpses.
Yeah.
Anywhere else.
So, so that scene there, which is obviously means nothing to the rest of the movie.
Bob was just pointless in the whole movie.
Yeah,
There's a lot of pointless stuff in this movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it ends, and now it goes back to the apartment building where the psychic died, and this is where we meet our main character,
Another Porter guy.
the reporter, Peter Bale, played by Christopher George. And I'm watching this going, this guy looks so familiar. Like, what have I seen this guy in before? So I'll look him up on Information Movie Database. I don't think I've seen him in anything else before.
Oh, he was in a Graduation Day.
But to me, that's not a movie that I would remember him from.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't remember him in Graduation Day. He was in The Exterminator.
Oh, with what's his name? Oh,
He was
yeah,
a
Exterminator,
detective now.
Exterminator 2, the guy with the flamethrower.
But if I look at
What
his
is
list here, like I feel like I would have remembered him more from his one episode of Wonder Woman.
for Vegas?
Yeah, but he just looked. I don't know. He just has this look. I guess he just looks
He looks like an
familiar.
everyman,
Yeah,
a character actor.
I thought his character was gonna be like somebody cool and stuff, and like, nope, he wasn't.
He was kind of whatever, really.
Yeah, he was. They all the characters are really kind of whatever. Like I said,
but
this
see,
is like Fulci's weakest film, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, this he didn't come off as a reporter. He came off more like they should have made him like maybe a private investigator
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely had that vibe. It's just a
in,
PI.
instead of a reporter.
It didn't even say like whom he worked for or anything. He was just reporter, man.
He's just
I'm
a
a
reporter.
reporter. And the cop's like, get the fuck off, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
Daddy.
Like, how much? He's like, you better get the fuck out of here. All right, all right.
It almost come off like he was propositioning sex
Yeah.
to get into that building, not
He's-
money.
He's like, I know this guy named Bob's got a fancy lady in an abandoned, windy area.
I know this guy. He's got an old fuck house.
Yeah, he's got an old fuck house. Don't be alarmed. It's very windy and foggy there. But you'll be alone.
Don't worry.
As long as you don't
You'll leave
mind
a fan of the
baby
draft.
corpses.
Yeah. So we spend like what, a minute with this main character before it cuts to another storyline, which what it feels like, which would be the three guys in the bar,
Oh, yeah.
Man, that adds up to nothing all day long.
which apparently takes place in Dunwich. It's hard to keep track of where we're at. Like I know the priest died in Dunwich. I don't know where the psychic died at.
It's supposed to be New York.
Somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
So apparently now we're at the bar in Dunwich with these three, the bartender and the two barflies. They're talking about, I guess, somebody had went missing or somebody died. And
And all
then,
that spooky shit happens.
not really spooky shit, just the mirror gets broken.
No, yeah.
And the bartender
crack in
tries
the
to play it
wall.
off as a truck drove by and it broke the mirror. Like that's how he's playing because
Oh,
he
that
wants
was-
he wants both his customers to stay there
Yeah,
and drink more.
he needs the money.
Yeah.
They're the two people that keeps that bar alive.
Yeah, it was like the best comic timing though. He's like, "Oh, that mirror could have broken anything." The truck went by and the fucking wall splits open and hell seeps through. He's like,
Well, no,
"Oh,
that was
goddamn it."
later. The wall cracking opens later.
Really?
Yeah, this right here. The only thing we get here is the mirror smashing, and then the first time I noticed that this movie has a lot of close up of eyes.
Oh
So like
yeah,
the mirror smashes, and one by one we look at each person's eyes.
they did that a lot in this movie, I guess,
They
to convey some kind of emotion, but it got kind of weird and personal, you know.
They wanted you to see the soul.
I just saw a bunch of drunks.
Yeah. And we saw Bob.
right.
Poor Bob. Every time we're gonna mention him, I'm just gonna be like, poor Bob.
No, you know what? This is the part where the wall cracks. I'm mistaken there.
Yeah, because that's when the two barflies like bailed.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah,
I've
the
got to
bartender
go,
was just like,
and they shake his
whatever. I'm
hand.
just gonna try to fucking hang this picture. Nothing's up.
Yeah, and he's complaining about the foundation or the shoddy work on the building.
Did he?
Oh yeah, it's supposed to be a
Did he?
brand new building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
did he like say, hey, around for free?" And they were like, "Nah."
but yeah, they're like, I got to go, and they shake his hand when they leave. Like, so they split, right? Those two guys split. The bartender's trying to hang up his painting or whatever. He gives up and just
Yeah,
he gives up and just puts it back on the floor.
it's so dumb how that happens because he's just so indifferent about it. He's like an old timer or whatever. He's just like, oh goddamn kids, you know. He's like whatever. Like it's glowing and it's like smoking and everything.
Smoke
He just
coming
tries
out.
to hang his stupid like whatever painting as some fucking car or whatever.
To him, there's got to be like a reasonable like explanation for this. Like, this is not happening because of some voodoo crazy stuff. This is happening because
Voodoo.
the foundation sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
The
the
ground
logical
should.
man in the
Yeah, the
story.
foundation
Yeah,
just shifted a little bit.
yeah. There's
It's
an
all that
earthquake.
damn
We can hear
wind.
it.
Yeah, yeah, it's all
The
the
Dunwich
wind.
hurricane blowing by.
Yeah.
So after these two guys leave, we cut to our the other characters in this movie, which is the shrink, and he's currently in a session with a patient,
He
and
kind of reminds me.
his girlfriend just barges in
Yeah.
and starts talking to him, and they just forget that the patient's there.
That's rude.
But like she chimes in the conversation too. She's like, "Oh yeah, it's okay, no problem. You know, I'm just trying to like spill my heart and everything."
He tells
Right.
me what you're saying anyway, so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm caught up on your what's going on with you and your daddy
And
issues.
you're a freak, by the way.
yeah.
And you and Bob need some help.
And like for some reason the psychiatrist, I can't remember his name because I wasn't
Um,
that invested in the movie, but he like picks up the phone and then just puts it back down. For whatever, I have no idea. And his girlfriend just sits at his desk and they're just talking amongst themselves, and the
Oh
patient's
my
just
god.
left on the couch. Like,
was his
Yeah,
name Jerry? Was that the guy's name?
the shrink's name was, I have no idea.
let's find out.
If it doesn't have a picture, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, if it doesn't have a picture, I think it was Jerry, spelled with a
Yep.
G, I
Really,
think.
Oh,
Carlo
Jerry.
Di.
But yeah, in that little bit of scene, she's just like, "Hey, you know, I'm gonna be a little late. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna hang out with Bob. Blah blah blah."
Yeah, she like
Transition. Blah blah
almost
blah.
like it's almost like Bob is one of his patients,
Yeah.
and like she's going to go talk to him. Like, is like so I don't know. Is she also a shrink? And maybe they work out of the same office.
Or
Oh
Bob might be
yeah.
like a personal friend of theirs, and they're
Yeah,
trying
even
to help
Jerry
him.
was
Maybe.
like, "Hey, you've been spending a lot of time with him," and she's like, "Are you jealous?" And he's like, "No, but I worry about the fuck house."
Right.
We're about the fuck else.
So now with this other pointless scene over with, we go back to our main character Peter, who's now at the cemetery.
Oh yeah, after the séance, that lady dies, so she's being buried, and
Yeah,
he
and I
tries to go
kept
to the
thinking,
cemetery to get some more clues, I guess, for whatever he's writing, which is
yeah, I
never
don't know what he's
clues.
going to figure. What's he going to figure out by going to her grave? And they had her
Make sure she's
tombstone.
dead.
Yeah, they had her tombstone completed awfully quick.
Those guys like half-assed,
That's true.
like burying her. Like, somebody else
Oh
will stand
yeah,
the shit. We worked a whole good 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, that was the
Yeah,
other thing I
fucking.
noticed is they lower her casket all the way down, which is like what 6 feet
Yeah.
is what they. But then when they're shoveling dirt on top of it, the casket's right there, like an inch below the.
That's not even like That's just the beginning of the problems with that whole scene. Okay, so that casket was resting there on that little lowering machine, which is only for funeral use only. Like they had no service for that poor woman. They were just throwing that bitch in the fucking ground. Okay. And secondly, not Vince Vaughn was totally eating a sandwich over that dead guy.
Right. And I don't know what they were doing with that grave because they had to flip a coin to see who was going to get in the hole
Yeah.
and wipe dirt off the skull. Like
Oh
that
yeah,
that that
they were
skeleton
just doing
wasn't
that
even in.
before they had to lower what's her name, like for no reason at all.
Yeah, because he was eating a sandwich. The other guy was looking at porn, and they were talking about how they watched a. He says, "I watched a porno one time where the actor like boned himself to death." I think is how he says it.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I don't know.
It's like that. Oh, that's like that old Richard Nixon tape or whatever, where he's like I don't jack off with my hand, I fuck my hand. It's less gay. Like what does that even mean?
oh, oh, that reminded me of something someone asked me one time. Like you said, they got boning himself.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was like fifth grade. This girl was like, you. I was talking to her on the phone. She's like, you ever heard of bone sex? And I was like, no. And she hung up on me. And I was like, am I supposed to know this? Never heard from her again.
How was she? What was she? 35 or?
She was like supposed to be like my age, like 11 or 12. And I was just like, girl, however
Jesus
you're supposed to be in
Christ.
fifth grade, I don't know. She told me that, and I was like, no. And like she hung up on me. Never heard from her since. And to this day, I wonder
God,
what
you
it
got like
is.
16 and pregnant and 12 and fucking being a freak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we had to go off topic.
Yeah.
No,
That's
no.
fine.
Well, I mean, I think that whole thing was just like a big pun about bones because they were screwing around with the skeleton anyways.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out why that skeleton wasn't in a casket.
Yeah,
And
like were they
also,
trying to like
also,
exhume it or something?
I
And
don't
also
know.
when
And
they exhumed it, it was like the top was missing from the casket. It was already filled with dirt.
yeah, and there's no like it's just not a casket in the ground. They put the casket inside of a concrete box.
Oh, what are those things called? Not a sarcophagus, but the modern kind, a vault.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, go back to the thing that they lower the casket in with.
Yeah, that's I
It
mean
didn't
just
make
for
sense.
presentation
Yeah, but
whatsoever.
it lowers it down and then they just pick it up. Like the straps are still under the. I don't know how that
Yeah, like
worked.
the thing was still
It's
there, and they were already starting to throw dirt on it. Like they just go through these things every day.
they really didn't think this through when they wrote the script and actually filmed it. Like no one's gonna
no,
notice.
and it
But
was
what did
also
they
just
didn't know?
yeah, and it was just
20
two
years
guys
later.
like hand shoveling dirt when
Yeah.
they have like a backhoe to dig the hole. They could use that to put the dirt back on.
And they even like put that much dirt. It was like they did like 3 times where we're like, all right, we're
5 o'clock, it's time to go
Yeah,
done.
home.
I feel like it's just one of those things. Like one of those poor actors just brought it up the full chain, and he was like, "Listen, I'm gonna punch you in the fucking throat."
Yeah.
You
So
want your
now,
$5 or not?
yeah.
You got a free sandwich, dickhead.
Yeah. So now the casket's only an inch into the ground.
Yeah.
And of course, these guys are walking away.
It's
And
quitting time.
that
Labor
girl,
law or
she
whatever.
suddenly awakes.
She wakes up, and I couldn't figure out why there was a mirror in the casket.
Well,
Was
this
there a
way,
mirror?
if you wake up, you want to adjust your makeup. That's all.
And I think it was only there for so you could see the her breathing on it
Oh,
as like a way to show that she's alive.
I
Because I
mean,
can't think of
oh, go
I
ahead.
Wait,
can't think of any other reason why you would have a mirror in a casket.
That whole little scene is actually one of my favorites in the movie. It's lit super well. Like somewhere in the backdrop, that casket doesn't have a top, or one of the sides, like the one where her head's facing. It's not there. You just have like a little bit of light shining through. So what does cast on her face? It almost looks like a skull just from the highlights of her cheekbones, and you don't see her eyes or anything.
Right.
It's a really good thought out shot, but
It
it's
was the only thought out
completely
shot that they
ruined
had.
by this nonsensical scream and her beating on the fucking thing. Just whatever.
Yeah, how could he hear? He has some like super hearing. I wouldn't have heard. I probably may have
Yeah.
heard something like, yeah, I'm going
Well, it
home.
didn't make any sense. Like she like beat on the fucking lid of the coffin forever, and just kind of like, meh, meh, and then like waits until like 5 minutes later before screaming her lungs out. That makes no sense.
Why was
Right.
she bleeding when she was like scratching the?
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess
she
she
was.
was like ripping her fingernails out
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't really
from
bother when she got
scratching.
out.
But yeah, so he hears her and he stops and thinks about it at least 20 times. Should I go back?
Yeah, he almost leaves like 8 times. Not even joking. He does that like step forward, step back. Should I? No.
And he grabs his
Ah,
chin like he's really thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He almost like he does that like biting his finger thing. Like I don't know.
So once he hears her screaming, he runs back and instead of reaching down and opening the casket,
He almost murders her.
Yeah, he gets a pickaxe. Is that
he
what it
grabs a
was?
pickaxe
Yeah.
Yeah.
and stabs it through it 3 times, almost hitting her every time.
Now, now, what if it did go all the way through? Smashes that poor lady's face. He opens it up. He's like, "Oh no, wait, she's dead. It's okay."
And
Like
no, he does it. He like blood squirts out and everything, and he starts whistling, puts his hands in his pocket, and
oh
leaves.
no. he he breaks it open. He's like, "Oh my god, she's dead."
Somebody murdered this girl.
Yeah,
Oh
I seen him walking away with his hands in his pants pockets, whistling like the wolf from the Droopy cartoons.
Like he starts walking, and then he slowly starts running away and looking back.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? So like he tears it open and stuff, and she gets to like breathe fresh air for a moment or whatever. But the whole time I was thinking, like she went through like the whole process, right? Like she got embalmed,
You would
so,
think.
so she has like what? She's full of formaldehyde the rest of the movie.
She was a
I guess it
ghost.
I guess it's stuff they don't technical stuff that if you put in a movie wouldn't make sense, I guess.
Fulci's like, hey, we got blood, we got some scary, spooky stuff. No one's really going to think about this movie.
Yeah, and the guy brings it up. I'm gonna punch you in the fucking throat. Okay.
He, he's never heard from again. Fulci kills
Yeah.
Yeah. He just leaves them in the hole that they dug for the grave.
him. Yeah.
So I guess she gets out of the grave and now she's fine. So now we go back to the psychic so they can get more information from her. And again, the psychic looks straight at the camera and gives exposition.
I mean, that stuff doesn't really bother me if you're gonna leave the rest of the movie for all the fun stuff. But this movie doesn't set any rules for the undead whatsoever.
Yeah. And
I mean, they can
for
just
a
do
movie
whatever.
about city, yeah, for a movie about the city of the living dead, like zombies, the dead didn't really show up very much.
And when they did, they were either like Superman or some kind of like janky TV channel. They were like popping in and popping out.
Yeah. But I guess the main problem is the whole thing starts. The gates of hell gets opened because a priest kills himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is the lore that priest kills himself or any priest that commits suicide
Well,
at
he
any
didn't have any
Well,
time
he killed
triggers
backstory
it?
and
himself at
stuff.
that cemetery, and that cemetery or that whole land was site of the original Salem witch trials.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that I didn't understand. Like Salem still exists. Like it's you can visit there any day of the week if you want to. And it's like, oh yeah, this town was built on the ruins of the old witch burnings back in the day. I'm like, no, it wasn't. You can still go up there.
So yeah, that's I guess since he killed himself there and he was a priest and religious, it opened the gates of hell.
Hmm.
Okay.
Maybe it was like he was like ushered some sort of karma something or whatever. Like that was their punishment for being descendants of the people who burned those witches or whatever.
Yeah.
But that wasn't explained whatsoever.
No.
Like there was no. He was just like he just died and things got spooky.
And
That
then
was
he
it.
stared at people, and then when
Right.
he would appear, he would stare at them,
Yeah.
and their eyes would bleed.
So
He died the same way twice, like a bitch.
yeah.
Like a bitch. What'd y'all think
So
about? Oh, go ahead, Gary.
well, I was gonna say so like the psychic gives exposition again. That's when we find out that everything happened in Dunwich, and that's where they have to go to stop it.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's where they gotta
Is
go.
this the point where the psychics or the psychiatrist's girlfriend gets killed? Where she goes to meet with Bob?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. She gets that evil spaghetti shoved in her face.
Yeah. Was that Bob's place? Like, I don't know what happened. I can't remember. And, like, he
I
just
think that was like his
leaves.
little hidey hole. Like he had his bed there and had a bunch of just like nudie pics just pasted up there for when he's ready for the fuck house.
Right.
And he was cowering in there. I think is because
After
He
the
was trying.
baby.
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
after
this
the
is where he
baby
went
thing.
after the baby.
And he was a bunch of noises and stuff were
He
happening outside.
bails.
We didn't quite see what it was.
Yeah, and he runs.
He
He's like,
bails on that girl.
fuck it, I'm
Oh,
out.
totally, man. He just 86 that whole
Yeah.
situation. He's like later.
And that's how she. That's how she got nothing else happen. Like, she's got the worms and the mud and dirt in her face. And that was it. Or did she get her
No,
head?
he just puts a handful of worms, mud, and looks like a leaf on her face and kind of rubs it
I
all
was
over her
I was
face.
allergic to leaf.
Yeah. Um,
Just one?
so I guess we don't see her death really, I guess.
Well, I mean, kinda. She Okay, that's going back to that thing that annoyed me. There's no rules, so I thought like it was going to be some kind of a person to zombie thing. Like that's how you turn. You get the evil spaghetti on your face, boo, and that's just how they transmit it or whatever. But that's the only time that happens in the movie. She gets when the people show up, the little doctor or whatever. Um, they said that she was scared to death. Like, so that had nothing to do with that little bunch of junk that they pressed on her face whatsoever.
So that zombie was just being a dick. I'm gonna shove this stuff in your
Yeah,
face.
it was just some asshole.
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't even a zombie. That was the priest that killed her there, right?
I thought it was a
Because
zombie. Was it the priest?
I believe so. I mean,
Okay.
not that it matters.
I mean, who else was dead by that point?
I I don't think anybody had been killed yet by the
Hmm.
priest. So I think she would have been the first.
What about that? Was that couple right? Was that
No, that comes later.
comes later?
Yeah.
So I guess now we cut back to our psychiatrist, and he finds out that his girlfriend,
Oh
partner, or
my god,
whatever
that's the funniest part of the
is
whole fucking
dead.
movie. No, no, no,
And
no. It's before that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that night before when she goes missing, her dad calls the psychiatrist, and he's like, "Oh, she should have been home like a half hour ago. I'm so worried." Blah 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 blah. And then Jerry's just like, "Oh, it's okay. She's probably just a few minutes late. She'll be home at any moment. Okay, don't worry. Yep, it's okay. Bye bye." Click, and then the most intense stare off to the thing. He's just like, Bob, zoom.
yeah, that was my notes I had is he writes the word Bob on his notepad and then circles it.
He's
Like
like,
he was
haha.
set like he was sitting there thinking,
He did something.
"Oh yeah, she said Bob.
Yeah.
This is important. I have to write this down."
But I just loved how quickly that was. He's like, oh no, it's okay, bye bye, click. And he's just like, oh shit, the fuck house.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit, the fuck house. He took her.
Yeah.
The other weird part about that phone call was like I don't know what the guy's name was, her dad or whatever.
Oh, the cool dude.
Mr. I don't know.
But it's like he answers the phone,
Mr. Ross, is that what it was?
maybe, but he answers the phone, and obviously Mr. Ross is talking, and then he's like, "Oh, it's you, Mr. Ross,"
Oh, it's you.
as a way to let the audience know who's on the other line. But it
Yeah.
just comes off as weird.
Well, they can't all be winners. Writing
Right.
dialogue is tough.
It is. Because dialogue doesn't come natural to anybody.
It's like, well, they had caller ID. He knew who was calling. Or he could
Hey,
just
Right.
tell by the ring.
they're talking about like the Book of Enoch. It's
Hmm.
it's a Jewish religious work going back to the 4th century.
Mm.
Considered by
So,
canon by the Ethiopian Orthodox. I I can't even say. I'm not even going to try to say these words.
Lucio Fulci confirmed anti-Semite.
There you
Yeah.
go.
But the couple that happens right after that, doesn't it?
That is the next thing that we're going to talk about, the big scene. This
The
is
big scene.
yeah, because it's big to me because this is one of two scenes that made me actually vomit.
Oh,
Really?
Yes.
Freak you
It's
out?
this scene and a scene from Peter Jackson's bad or not, what was his
Dead
movie?
Alive.
Bad taste?
Dead Alive.
Oh.
So in Dead Alive it was when the mom was
Eating the ear.
slurping the pudding and like her ear falls in it and
The guy eats it.
bloody pus gets shot into the pudding,
Oh.
and it's the slurping sound that got me
Oh
on
yeah.
that one. On this movie, it was just the sounds of the vomiting that made me vomit.
It was I think that scene and the scene later on, which we'll talk about with the maggots, kind of shared the same noise. It was just like this weird, really close to the mic, just like them just being silly with some just awful sounds.
Right. No, I did watch it today. I didn't throw up. I got through it.
I don't
But
think
But
yeah,
I've
you,
that
ever seen
was
a movie that's made me sick like that. It's actually kind of neat to hear about that movies have that effect on people.
right. But I think it's just I've never been able to deal with like vomit
Mm,
or
okay.
the sound of somebody throwing up.
I like the heaves and whatnot.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure that this actress was she really had, I'm gonna say, pig guts in her mouth
oh
Oh,
man,
she had to have for the first third of that whole scene. It was a real
Ye-
person just like
with
pushing stuff out of her mouth.
yeah, because it looked like what I'm gonna describe as chitlins coming out of
Hmm.
her mouth, but
Yeah, it looked
not
like
bloody.
definitely
cooked.
looked like
These are like
fermenting.
raw, yeah. And then of course it cuts to like a mannequin head with a hole cut in the mouth when
Oh
it when
man, that
everything
made
when
me so
everything's just
sad.
when everything's just kind of pouring out. Like I wish they wouldn't have done that. I wish they just would have left
They
the shots of the actress,
No, they could have used that. They could use that dummy head, but they cut back to it way too often, to the
and
point
they
where you
had
can clearly tell, like, oh,
they
that's
stay
just
on it.
a
Yeah,
dummy
they
head.
stay on it too long, and
Now,
it just
that goes back to one of my earlier arguments. There's a lot of this stuff is shot just very uninterestingly, like non-creatively. I guess I don't know if they're pressed for time or
Oh, I'm sure
budgetary
they
reasons.
were. We got 10 days to shoot this movie, guys.
I'm gonna say they probably did rush it.
Yeah.
I don't know what this because this came out in 1980. I'm not sure what they would have been competing with back then, but
We gotta. I heard that little Sam Raimi boy's got something up his sleeve. We gotta
You
get
probably saw a
him
bunch
in
of
there.
these Fulci films probably in those like grindhouse theaters. You probably never seen them in like, people probably never saw them in the like real nice theaters. Always like the grungy, dirty looking theaters. You probably saw these type of movies at.
yeah. Plus, I think back then, small theaters like that, and even like drive-ins would
Yeah.
buy like you wouldn't release your movie, you know, nationally. You would just sell
Mhm.
it to like little theaters and drive-ins, and I think those theaters kind of maybe chipped in production money and
Oh,
probably had a say on how quick they needed, the movie or whatever.
hmm. I don't know. It was released here in like '83, so I was just kind of feeling like this movie kind of just had that whole rental roots thing.
Yeah, like a straight to video.
Yeah, because it just seems like one of those movies that was just of the living dead. So, just slap that on the box, and people just be like, "Oh, this is
People are
interesting."
going to think, oh, look, it's another Romero film.
Then they watch it and they're severely
But
disappointed.
yeah, they are let down.
Yeah.
So the others, as this woman is puking up her guts, her boyfriend is just sitting there looking at her,
Well, I mean,
almost in
out of
disbelief,
shock, I guess. Yeah.
almost shock, disbelief, or just amazement.
Y'all didn't know that they had just smoke, and he's like, "Am I high, or is she really puking out her guts?"
Yeah. He just sitting there looking like, "Damn, babe, I thought it was up to me to rearrange your guts."
Right.
Save some of those guts for me, babe.
Yeah. Then he just gets like the back of his head grabbed off, which is like a running theme in the second half of this movie.
It is a running theme, and it also, yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't need to make sense. I don't think that,
Half this movie doesn't make sense.
This
I
whole
don't,
movie doesn't make any sense.
I
Things
don't
just
think you can,
happen and they don't end.
yeah, I don't think you can put your fingers through someone's skull like that and rip their brain out.
He's just like somebody just runs up to Fulci. You're like, I don't know how that's even possible. He's just like, kill shot, damn it, kill shot.
And it
Well,
doesn't,
all
plus
these
it
people
doesn't,
got weak skulls.
yeah,
Like babies.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a soft spot. Don't worry about it.
yeah, everyone in this town never fully developed skulls. But
You wanted to put that in the movie.
they don't even show the hand going into the skull. It just looks
No,
like they had calf brains wrapped up in hair and they would just squeeze it and it would come out through the fingers.
it's effective though. It's pretty cool. I
It
mean,
yeah.
but it just happens so often. It almost got it's just humorous after a while. It's just like
I
that's how do people get fooled by this? Just like something in front of me, crunch. It's just whatever.
yeah, I always think that I have the same effect on women that the priest does. Whenever they look at me, their eyes bleed and they throw up their insides.
I think I have that too.
Yeah, so the boyfriend gets killed, like I said, having his head squeezed like an orange.
Oh man, this sounds like a really bad time. She gets her
Yeah,
guts rearranged and he gets his head squeezed. Are we
yeah.
talking about the same movie here?
So then we finally cut back to our reporter and the psychic, and I guess they're just now leaving to go to Dunwich, and I don't know what the I don't know what the order we're seeing everything in.
They stopped by that other church asking where it's at. The guy's like,
Oh yeah.
"Oh yeah, it's." He's telling me about it's buried or stuff was
Oh
built on
yeah.
top of like the original burnings of witches and stuff. He's like, "But you got to drive back on the highway and then you take a left and there's like this." I can't remember what he said. It's over there.
He
Yeah,
he said something to the tune of it's like I was like I don't know why you want to go over there. I don't think I want to give you the directions. And the guy was just like I'm seeing a friend. Oh okay, it's
yeah,
just down the road to the left. There you go,
yeah.
pal. Good luck. you know.
But even before that, when it first cuts back to him, they're just standing outside the car looking at a map. I guess he's trying to find it.
Oh, the
And they
local cuisine.
yeah, they mentioned that they only have 48 hours to stop the gates of hell from opening, and she just wants to stop and get something to eat.
She's like, "I'm hungry."
Right.
And then he says something. He's like, "All right, get something to eat." He was trying to be like some kind of tough guy, and then he gave in.
Right.
Yeah, she gave him the look.
Which
But
that girl, she did have very pretty eyes.
she did. I think she was in. I think she was in his other movie, The Beyond.
To be honest, that's why I thought her name looked familiar. I was like, she was in one of his other movies.
But even though I just watched this movie today, I can't remember exactly what happens next.
It's because it's one of those movies that's like, you know what, like we gotta have to watch this, even though it's like not that great. So a
Oh,
lot
I
of
think
stuff
it.
just leaves our mind because we're watching it, but we're not really invested in. You know what I
That's
mean?
very true. I found
You're
myself
not.
just like diddling on my phone as I was watching. I was like, oh wait.
Yeah, you're definitely not as invested as you are the first time you see it.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the next scene, I think it goes back to the
I think it's the
psychic's
bar.
girlfriend getting at the funeral home
Oh, that's right. They had
because
the
they're.
little viewing or whatever.
I don't know. There was only the only people there were him, her little brother, the parents, and then that's
Hmm.
when he notices another lady that had died.
Oh yeah, Miss something or other.
Yeah, and then of course they're putting makeup on the psychic's girlfriend or whatever. I guess getting her ready for the
Oh yeah, that
viewing.
super weirdo.
Yeah, and then I think after that it cuts back to the patient who's painting a rhino, and she hears something in her house, and who does she call? Her shrink
Yeah.
Well, I
to
mean, at
come
that
over
point, she
there.
thought she was having like a nervous breakdown. That's why.
Oh yeah, he comes over there. You think I'm crazy, Doc? No, I think you drink a lot. Like along those
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah,
He
so she's
seemed
like,
very calm when he saw the dead body.
he did see,
Like they
he
all
just
seem
kept
calm. I just
thinking,
got the fuck out of there.
they definitely don't seem
Like they're that great.
almost like it happens a lot.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
just
well, I
a
mean,
normal day.
well, I mean, the guy saw that corpse at the funeral home, so maybe he was just like used to it. He's like, "Pff, I've seen that one before. Like, it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then when they
No,
go back and realize that they realize the corpse is now gone, they still don't leave.
they decided to get a drink, right? No,
Yeah,
that's before. Or is that
I
no?
think
That's after.
they're drinking the whole time. I can't remember.
Well, no, she offered him a drink, and he was like, "Nah, not right now." Then I think they see the dead body, and then they go back, and he's like, "Man, we sure do need a stiff one." And they're drinking, and they hear a noise, go back, and it's gone. And he's
Oh
like,
yeah.
"We'll check every inch of this house."
Yeah, and then it cuts to you see like her feet
Yeah.
Oh
sticking
yeah.
out from behind something.
She was just playing peekaboo the whole time.
Yeah,
And
and
then
then
I'm
they
pretty.
I think they go upstairs and then the power goes off.
Yeah. And then after that, what we forgot to mention is like early on, Bob gets in somebody's back seat of their car
In a
and
garage
falls
and
asleep.
goes
Oh
And
to
yeah.
sleep.
yeah,
That was the
and then,
garage of that little girl that he supposedly kidnapped the year before.
Right.
wow, you guys
Before we get to that, we go to the psychic's girlfriend's house where her little brother is looking out the window for some reason. And then that's when she pops into the window and she's now a zombie. And
she's gone.
this kid has the worst reaction. Like the voiceover
It's
was
bad.
really bad. And of course he runs to his mom and
And they're just
is
like, listen, you little shit. I've already
yeah.
been through enough. Get to bed, you little prick.
To
And then
bed.
it cuts away for like that again, it's something that we don't need. So it cuts back to the garage where Bob is asleep in the car.
On that girl, she grabs something out of the garage and she walks
Oh, it was
past
like
the
a bag of
car.
weed, and she
Yeah,
shoved it
it's a
in
Yeah,
the crotch.
it's actually a bottle of weed.
yeah, and she's like, Bob. He's like,
A
huh?
bottle.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah, it was in a bottle.
I
And
thought it was liquor at first.
she puts it down her pants.
She
Actually, like
sees
a
Bob.
bottle of weed, a bag of liquor.
Yeah.
She's like, Bob. And he's like, oh, sorry, I need somewhere to sleep. You're not going to tell your dad, are you? No, smoke this joint with me and you can leave.
Yeah.
And then that's when her dad comes. What's going on?
Is that a weed in my
Yeah.
Christian neighborhood?
And he's like, I'll leave. And like he grabs him, and they end up kind of like fighting a little bit. He pushes him up against that machine. And it turns on, and that father just turned insane after that.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's
he
what.
straight up murdered that guy.
Like that
Yeah,
dude wasn't even
Like,
fighting back. He was like, okay, might as well die.
that's what I wrote down was this guy killed Bob because he was talking to his daughter.
yeah. Well, see,
And
at
I'll,
that
You don't know
point,
anything. Like
well, I mean,
that's
I don't. Sorry.
okay.
No, I was gonna say I'm not sticking up for the guy. I mean, Bob deserved much, much better. Uh, just to hang out at his fuck house as long as he wants.
Right.
Um, but at that point, the people in the bar thought that he was responsible for everything because of all that stuff that supposedly happened before, like a year before, because he supposedly kidnapped his daughter, and then all those people started turning up missing. So that's why. So he was
Oh,
just
that's
trying to play like vigilante or something and killed that poor guy.
but it's like after that, you really don't nothing. I don't think anything ever happens. Like no one says, "Hey, Bob's dead." It just
Yeah, not at all. It just happens. They just
it
wrote
just
him
yeah,
off.
happens.
but what got me was like, so this guy comes in obviously, and there's Bob and his daughter, and he's so mad that he slowly kills this guy with a drill.
That was a cool scene, though, I thought.
Yeah, it was a good scene, but like, how are you that mad? Like, I can
Yeah,
understand if he got that
that
mad
was a
and like
little rough.
shot
I was
him.
just like, oh man.
Like if he got mad enough and just shot him, that's like heat of the moment stuff.
I could say it was an accident.
Yeah, they
It
scuffled.
was
They
an
scuffled for a
accident.
good 2 minutes before the drill even gets turned on to where this guy gets the idea of I'm gonna ram this his face into it.
Bob
Yeah.
didn't really fight back. Like he just like laid there
Well, I mean,
and
like his
just looked
character
and like,
wasn't very like
uh,
he was
uh.
very springy, so he's probably just like scared. I mean, he'd been going through
Right.
some shit this whole time. First the baby, and then that lady got spaghetti on her face, and he
Hmm.
finally like found a spot where he can kind of rest, and now he's getting the shit kicked out of him, and suddenly he's just overpowered by this really, really angry man.
The guy that plays Bob, he was in another Italian type of horror flick. I just can't remember what.
Let me see if I can find it here real quick.
I think it had the guy that was in um Last House on the Left. Oh yeah, it was a House on the Edge of the Park. He was Ricky, I think.
Oh, that
I
guy.
think had the guy from the original Last House on the Left. What is his name?
House on the Edge of the Park. I got it right here. It was
David.
David Hess.
Yeah, David Hess. I only saw that movie once. I think it's a horror film. It's like a horror thriller, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the only other movie I've seen him in. And apparently, I'm just looking up right now. Apparently, Bob was in The Omen. He played Father Split. Oh, the remake. Never mind.
No.
Oh,
He was also in Stage Fright, which I've seen that, but I don't remember him. Oh crap! He was in Stage Fright. So I've seen him in two movies.
so Bob's dead,
Yeah,
and this
Bob is
guy
dead.
obviously gets away with it.
Yeah, because nothing is mentioned. I don't think.
Cut to our next scene. This is when finally our stories are going to converge into one cohesive movie.
Oh wait, we forgot the part where that little boy is with that girl up the steps.
No, that's later.
Is that later?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
because
before the ending.
because
Oh.
this is when our two couples, our reporter and the psychic,
Oh yeah.
the shrink and the patient, finally come together in a meeting room. And I was thinking once these two set of characters come together, I feel like this could have been like a Scooby Doo prequel.
They just need a dog.
They just need a dog in the van.
Yep.
But for the scene where they're all together, My only note was that's a lot of maggots.
Oh yeah, I wonder if
Oh
that
yeah.
girl really puked. Because she has that maggots on her, and you see like her just puking.
I would say they
I
did
wonder if
because
that's real puke.
they were real maggots,
Maybe.
Yeah, I
and
want
you
this
could even,
authentic as possible.
and in some of the scenes you can tell where they put some
Pe-
maybe honey or something on their face
Yeah, it
so
looked like
that the
peanut
maggots
butter.
would so the maggots would stick.
What did like the maggots just like come out the window, like the windows broke
Yeah,
or
the window
something?
Oh
busts
yeah.
open,
You can kind of
Yeah.
see that there's a little machine just shooting that stuff at the
just
window.
just spraying maggots all over them.
Yeah.
So I bet you that girl really did puke.
There
Yeah,
was so much though. I was a little bit impressed of how much they got into that house because when it's all done, like and over
the
with,
the
the
floor
floor
is
is
like
covered
covered.
with a good inch of them.
I was watching something before, and they were talking about how they get like when they have maggots in a movie, they're I guess raised on a farm to where they're not. I guess they're clean.
Yeah.
And when they use them in these movies, they tell the actors that if you get one in your mouth, just eat it. Just chew it up and eat it. I guess there's no point in spitting them back out.
Yeah. Oh, I just saw one of the quotes from this movie, and oh my god. All right, here's what it says. The blonde gravedigger. He's like, "Will you check her out? Talk about a boxed lunch." What the fuck? And then the other guy says, "I'm telling you, you'll end up a dirty old man reading that stuff."
Yeah, that's when they start talking about the porno. But another thing that got me about the maggot scene was how all four of them just stood there.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you try to leave the room, at least get out of the way of the way these maggots are like shooting in?
They all have a fetish for maggots, I guess. I don't know.
But they're all just kind
It's
of
kind of like
standing there with their arms up, covering their face, like they're gonna like
it's kind of like
swat
that
them all
scene from
away.
Dracula Dead and Love Night where he puts that stake in that vampire's heart and just blood
The
sprays
blood
everywhere. He
shooting
just
out,
takes it like
yeah.
a champ. Yeah.
Like if we wipe our faces long enough, they'll all just disappear.
Yeah. So the maggots stop spraying it for whatever reason, and they're brushing them out of their hair and off
Yeah,
their
they're just brushing
clothes.
off like, oh, that was weird. All right, next.
And I guess that's when they get the phone call. Again, um, the kid brother, the little kid, so his parents, both of them get murdered, and he calls the shrink. Because I guess there's no cops in this town, right? We never see a cop.
At the beginning, they're all in New
The
York. Yeah.
the dad doesn't get arrested for murdering Bob. No one. There may have been a cop at the when they found the first victim, the daughter, but I can't remember. So they all leave to go to the parents' house.
And then that girl takes the boy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
they,
when
they
she
they
gets
all get
killed.
together, but then they immediately split up. Like
Split
I
up.
didn't understand that.
Yeah, I
And
didn't
she get
either.
yeah, like the zombie. They were going up the steps to the apartment, and like you see the zombie, and then like I don't know how that zombie got behind. I guess that zombie was floating.
Well, they
Well,
can they're like Nightcrawler. They can just
Oh
vamp in anywhere,
man.
yeah, that's
I
when they turned
guess.
into just super zombies and
And
just could
that
do
boy
anything.
just stood there while she's getting killed. Like I would have already like left.
Well, I mean, he's just a boy. I mean, he saw his kids, not saw his kids. He saw his parents, which were apparently just like ridiculously disemboweled and just like chopped up to almost unrecognizable, whatever.
I
He
wonder why
seemed
they didn't
awfully
show that.
fine. He seemed awfully fine after all this shit happened.
I wonder why they didn't show the parents, or did they? Did
Oh,
I
that
like?
would have cost money.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess.
you got to get the unrated version.
Yeah, that's why they had to like describe it, tell,
Yeah,
not show. That's why we're
right.
walking down the hall. There's like, damn, that was fucked up, you know.
They they told Fulci it's either the Bob's death scene or this scene. He's like, fuck you, Bob scene.
Yeah, so at this point is when I was just thinking the skull crushing is ridiculous.
Yeah. And then she dies, and then
She
he
dies.
takes off.
That
Yeah, he
was
takes off
actually
running.
yeah,
Yeah.
but for a split second, for a moment in this movie, I was just like, okay, it just turned into a real movie. Like the cinematography is kind of like amped up a little bit. You know, it's him
Hmm.
running down the street, spooky like little alleyways. It's shot really like creepily and whatnot, and he's just running down the road, and you feel like a little bit of like tension going on. I'm like, okay, okay, this is it. All right, last little act. This is where it's going to happen. And then like fucking yeah, then Superman fucking zombie just jumps down out of nowhere or whatever, and just like
But the,
lingers in the camera frame for way too long and just like reaches at the kid.
yeah, that was Bob.
Wasn't?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
that
with all
was
the
Bob
crap they
as
had
the
on his face.
zombie.
It looked like he had
Yeah,
a
I know.
mustache. I thought I seen some weirdo.
Yeah, so he grabs at the kid, and I guess the kid gets away and runs into the shrink. I think. I don't know.
Well, I think that they had her. I thought they already left, didn't they? Like him and the psychic girl, whatever.
I don't know because I know that all three of them. Yeah, yeah, they decide to go to the graveyard to find the priest to find his grave.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where time doesn't make any sense because they wasted most of what was left doing all this shit.
And they're pretty strong opening that tomb.
Oh yeah. Well, another thing doesn't
And
make
like,
sense either is the the main storyline is the priest kills himself, and
Mhm.
now they have to find a way to close the gates of hell before All Saints Day.
yeah,
That was their time limit. But they're walking through the graveyard and they start hearing I don't know a noise, and that's when the psychic says it's All Saints Day.
yeah, that's what I said. They wasted so much time. Like when they got back to the house or whatever to split up, it was still daytime. But when all
Right.
that stuff happened, it took them that long to get to the graveyard. It was night. Not only night, but the next day already.
The
And
next
it's like,
day, but so
okay.
now, but it's already All Saints Day. Doesn't that isn't that the end? Like that was the tension of the movie. They only had 48 hours to stop it.
Wait. So when they talked to that, I just remember. So when they talked to that priest before, like, hey, we're trying to find Dunwich or whatever, he tells them they don't go there after he tells them like they could do this other shit first. We can't do this shit. And then now they're actually at Dunwich like a day later. It's like you guys were literally right there.
Yeah.
You guys had to go back.
Yeah, the way this is shot and the way this is put together, like the whole geography of like Earth just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like you don't know where they are at any point in time, or like how far anything is from anything
It's
else.
either light or dark outside.
Windy or
Yeah,
foggy.
or both.
So yeah, so they found the priest. They found the grave. I guess it's
Yep.
like a family plot,
Something like that.
which I've always assumed was just everybody buried side by side.
Yeah.
So they open it. They open the
The
I'm sure
vault.
really fucking heavy.
Yeah, and their acting on pretending that thing was heavy was horrible.
Yeah.
Like
And
you
they
could
decided
obviously
to
tell it was
yeah.
styrofoam.
And they decided to
Like
go down the steps.
Yeah, well, it's
for
a
a second, I
ladder.
thought it was just like
Oh, it was a
one
ladder.
plot with like a whole family kind of like stacked in or something.
That's what I thought.
But then he climbed in this whole underground just cave system just for his family or whatever. Like how important was this dude's family?
I have no
Very
idea.
important.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
they
important
climb
enough
down
to
the
open up the gates of hell.
yeah. So they climb down this rickety ladder into this labyrinth.
And that's when the shit happens.
Oh,
That's when
there's some horse shit happens. That's for
that's when something happened. So I don't even know what they're looking for. To be honest, I don't know what's supposed to stop
well,
the gates or
they found the
close the
father's
gates of
actual
hell.
like you know like little vault or whatever. So they pry open the thing and they get the faceplate off, and then like it has a back hole. It's like, oh, he must have escaped through the back end or
Yeah,
whatever. It's
someone
like, oh,
broke in or
yeah.
broke out.
That's the stupidest line in any kind of context in this movie. They know what the
Right.
fuck happened.
Yeah. Yeah, so they climb through that, right? Well, the shrink climbs through.
Yeah, but it's
And
assumed the
then
rest of them did too because they were all wandering around the cave system.
yeah, they are all walking around and it's like it's obviously an underground city or whatever. And then that's when the patient, who's now a zombie, shows up and kills the reporter.
Oh yeah, just like
Our
that, just like
main
instantly,
character,
just like crunch.
the guy that we've spent this entire movie with from the beginning,
More than the shrink.
more than the shrink, is killed off.
Yeah.
Not
I
just
wonder if they
killed
did
off.
like rock paper scissors, like who's gonna live?
Yeah, they killed him off the dumbest way possible too, with crushing his skull and
Got
ripping
his
his
head
brain out.
punched. That's what's up. But like, but yeah, like this guy didn't have any character arc at all, anyways. So who cares?
Oh, hey Eric, the guy that played the reporter guy. Y'all remember those short YouTube videos, like the awful stuff in movies, like bad acting? What was it? Enter the Ninja, where that guy gets that throwing star.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That's where
That's
how I found.
that's the news reporter. That's him.
Really?
Yeah. And he
Oh
does
my
that
god,
shrug when he's falling down.
that's amazing.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Dude, those compilations how I found great movies like Undefeatable and stuff, and like how I got introduced to like Cynthia Rothrock.
Sorry about that. I just clicked. I was like, holy shit, that's the fucking guy.
That guy.
That's
I
that
was
guy.
introduced to Cynthia Rothrock when I used to rent her movies.
Cynthia. So they're in the cave. The news reporter,
Is now dead.
yeah, Peter
Yeah,
Bell, is
out of
dead.
nowhere.
R.I.P. R. Shaggy.
And then is that when
The
the zombies start coming out?
No, the patient. I'm gonna call her the patient because I don't know what her name is and I don't really care. She starts looking at the psychic and her eye. Now she has the power to make her eyes bleed.
Yeah, for no real reason.
No,
And then
the freaking priest was looking at her though. I thought.
no, it was the patient. And then the
Yeah.
shrink just takes his time to find a weapon and he stabs
Oh
the
yeah, he just
patient
picks up a stick,
and he
stab.
stabs her in an obvious big bag of blood that you can see when she lays down. You can see that there's just a big bladder under her shirt.
That made me laugh because like this whole time they've been super afraid and not really knowing what to do. Turns out the whole time all you had to do was stab them.
Stab them. Yeah, so and then that's when our priest shows up.
And he starts making her out
Now he
the
starts making her eyes bleed. So then our shrink gets
stabs
the bright
him.
idea of maybe I'll just stab him, but this time with a bigger stick,
It looks like a cross.
which leaves a bigger hole in him,
And it catches
Yeah,
on
like
fire.
and he
disembowels him or
catches on
whatever.
fire.
Oh,
And
And all the
everything
other
else catches on
zombies,
fire.
and all the other
it's
zombies catch on fire. It's like
this.
destroy the mothership, and all the other
Yeah, like a
ones will.
hive mind or whatever.
Yeah,
But like I had to rewatch that bit a couple times because it took him 3.5 minutes to die. I had to time it the last time. It took him 3.5 minutes to just like melt and burn and just eventually fall over into dust. It took so fucking long.
I think that's called padding.
Oh my god, it was so painful to watch. Like this guy I didn't care about the dying, and they're just like drawing it out, just like with that when what's his name? The
Like
guy
Pee
played
Wee
Pee Wee
Herman.
Herman died
Yeah.
in
And
Buffy.
Buffy.
Buffy the
Yeah.
Vampire Slayer movie. He's just
Ooh,
like kicking the
ah.
wall. Ah,
He looks at him, or he looks at her, and he, ooh, ah, ee.
yeah.
and and then what is it like? The cops come to the grave. I don't know how they know they're there. I guess.
I don't know either. Like where are the
Well,
well
that's
because they
because the
were
kids. Well, I can explain that, even though who cares? Uh, the kid knew because he was there when the team split up, so they
Oh.
knew where they were going.
Oh. So like they get out, and he like says their name, and then he's running towards him, and then the girl starts screaming, "Oh my God, I have to raise him!" Ah!
No, she doesn't even scream. He's running towards them, right? And they're
Yeah,
just
Yeah,
she's
they're just
yeah,
kind
so
of
she's
she
looking.
moving.
They're just
screams
kind of looking at him, and all of a sudden he's in slow motion, and they get this look of fear on their face, and
because they
then
got to raise him.
it, yeah, freeze frame on the kid, and then it's the exact same scream from the beginning of the movie as
That
over
was
top of
her.
that.
I bet that was her screaming.
Yeah,
Yeah, the movie
Oh
just
my
falls
God, we
apart
have to
literally.
raise this kid.
ah, that
So
ending,
that
so
was
bad.
yeah, that's where the movie just stops. It didn't
Yeah,
end, it just stopped. There's a big difference.
like
It's like they ran out of film.
Well, I was actually super curious about that because I was like, this is dog shit. Okay, so I'm just reading about this movie. Apparently, the official story, or I guess the rumor that eventually turned into what was official, was while editing the film, the original ending print was destroyed when coffee was spilled. So that's how they lost the end of the movie. And then Fulci had to come up with a new ending on the spot with whatever footage they had available. So that was just him, just like, well,
actually,
here
that
you
guy
go.
got fired. Spilled coffee.
But
So
I think
that,
they
ladies and gentlemen, was City,
Shitty of the Living Dead.
Shitty
or
City of the Living Dead,
Or Gates of Hell, whichever
or
one you
Gates
watched
of
as a kid.
Shit.
That's not even clever. That's what's great about
Gates of Hell, Shit of Hell.
him. Just shit, shit, shit.
Yeah, shit. Shit of shit.
So if there's anybody listening that's never seen this movie,
See it.
do you guys recommend it?
Uh,
No, I
if you want
don't. It's
some
just
background music,
boring.
you want some
And the,
background noise, maybe.
it's whatever.
Like,
It's boring, and the moment it gets mildly interesting, it's over in just like a big yuck. It's just done.
or if you're like personally, I like to watch all these kinds of horror movies. Yeah, watch it. I mean, you probably won't like it, and if you do, congrats. You're the
Yeah,
only
for
one.
okay. If you're into the stuff, watch it. Whatever. Like
Yeah.
this is like the first in like a trilogy, quote unquote. So if you're gonna watch the rest, you gotta watch this one anyways.
But go ahead, it's not the best Fulci film. He has made better.
Yeah.
So don't
Oh,
let this
absolutely. Like
ruin.
Zombie itself is good.
Yeah, don't let this movie ruin like your whole idea or whatever of Fulci, because
Yeah.
he's
If you
done
want to
some
get
good
into
ones.
spaghetti horror, do not start here.
Yeah,
Ever.
do not.
Even though it's a trilogy. Well, first I'll say that today was the first time I've watched it by myself. So I'm going to recommend if you've never seen it and you're going to watch it with a group of people.
Oh yeah, it's
Because
definitely like a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
in the past, when I'd seen it, it was always with other people.
Yeah.
So you can kind of riff on it, mystery science style, as
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
watching it. But as far as it being part of a trilogy, The Beyond and Cemetery or House in the Cemetery, which is
Better
the other
film.
two, are better films. You could start
Oh
with either one of those in
yeah.
any order. You don't have to watch this one
What do you
first.
More like
like
an
better, Beyond
anthology.
or House?
Beyond's my favorite. Out of the three, Beyond's definitely the best one. The only thing that they what doesn't give it to House by the Cemetery is the kid.
Yeah.
These are just
That
annoying.
that kid was annoying.
That's usually the case. It's really hard to find like a child actor who's worth a damn.
The kid will either break or make a film.
That is true.
That's why you have to just hire Macaulay Culkin, even though he's like 35.
Yeah.
You can do CGI. You can.
Oh, that'd be disgusting because he's like 6 foot tall and he'd have like a baby face.
You just get Haley Joel Osment, I guess, to be in your movies.
He's like
Oh,
400
he's
pounds
aged.
now.
He,
What the
he
fuck?
looks horrible now.
It's
Yeah.
working for Kevin Smith.
He still has that face, but it just has a mustache
It
and a
has a
beard.
beard now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
Now he just looks like a date rapist.
Yeah,
Oh
he
my
looks
god.
somebody I would not want to meet
No.
somewhere dark.
Like Haley Joel Osment looks like the guy who ate his date.
Yeah.
But
but
if
I
he's
would say
watching,
that
please buy our t-shirts. That'd be really nice.
yeah, please buy a T-shirt and chip in a couple of bucks on Patreon.
Uh, yeah, we all appreciate whoever's watching, or not watching, but who's ever listening.
Listening or watching. Well, we're on YouTube now
Oh,
too,
okay,
so
watching, listening, we appreciate you.
um, yeah. So that's patreon.com / the podcast from beneath. And like I said, the links for the t-shirts will be in the description. It'll be on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff.
So, any final thoughts on City of the Living Dead, 1980?
Great music. Of course, now that I think about it, it only had the one song, right? That they
Yeah,
just kind of redone.
I think.
So I'll just say great song. Um, special effects were really good
Oh
as
yeah,
far as the kills.
I keep calling it boring, but the movie had a really good atmosphere. Like yeah, I was definitely something going on there all the time. Um, I always felt like a little bit of just like uneasiness, like oh, what could happen next? And the makeup effects on the zombies were actually really just disgusting. It was kind of nice.
Yeah,
Fulci's always been good at like when it comes to effects and stuff. Like I don't know if
Yeah,
the guy did this, but I think he did. Guy did special effects for Zombie 2. I think
yeah.
he did the effects for High Tension too.
Oh,
I mean, he
well,
might have done some other Hollywood movies, but I know that he did Zombie 2 and High Tension. His name's like
that's pretty cool.
Giovanni or something. Starts with a G. I can't remember.
I mean, it's there's some great stuff in here, but the sum it isn't more than the parts,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I
unfortunately.
said, it before our four characters get together, the movie's so disjointed,
Mm.
It's true.
and it tries
It
to
like
jump
tried its
around
best at
between.
trying to like get everything situated so it could come together, but by the time that happens, there's only like 20 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah, so like you could have started with the priest hanging himself, the shrink, not the shrink, but the psychic having that vision and dying. Um,
And then her getting saved.
the reporter showing up, saving her, and then once they get to Dunwich, that's when you introduce the bar patrons, the shrink. You know what I'm saying? To because you're
Yeah,
jumping around so much between all these different characters, and
Yeah.
the bar patrons were only there
Like two
to give a
scenes.
little bit of to give a little bit of exposition and then be killed later. So
yeah.
they didn't need their own segments
No.
throughout the main storyline. They could have
Well,
condensed that together.
They wanted you to feel for
there's a
him.
little bit of payoff with the that one bar patron, but that could have just happened off screen per se. Like that one guy was the father of that girl, and he did wind up killing Bob, and Bob did wind up turning up later as a zombie. But we didn't really have to see that. Like he could have just showed up as a zombie, and we just could have assumed that he was murdered. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like the
Right.
movie went out of its way to show us stuff that didn't pay off at all at the end.
Yeah, it'd be nice if someone out there had the time if they could re-edit the movie in some better order for
Or just
pacing issues
or
and like I
remake
said,
it
So it's
shot
just
by
like
shot.
opening credits, pastor hangs himself, closing credits. Boom, 10 out of
there
10.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but like I said, if you're gonna watch it with a group of people and make fun of it the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is not gonna
it
be.
definitely needs to be riffed because like I just
Yeah.
sat in my house watching this well yesterday, and I was just like, man, I could be like doing meth or something.
Yeah.
That's how it
It's
starts.
definitely it's definitely not a turn the lights off and watch this movie to be scared because
Like if you haven't watched horror before, this isn't the movie to start with.
nah. Yeah, if you're new to horror,
No, this is the kind of movie where you're just gonna have it under your belt. You know what I'm saying? It's like a movie's like, yeah, I've seen it. That's as far as it goes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, dude, tell me more about it. It's like, no, no one's going to be like that. Yeah, oh, yeah, I've seen it. Oh, cool, me too. Or no, I haven't. Should I? Eh, yeah, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, like
it's
this
almost
movie's
like a
review is literally just like a sound and a wiggly hand gesture.
right.
If you got an hour and 30 minutes to spare, yeah.
Yeah, if you have a layover somewhere and you just want to just pass the time, Wiggly's.
Yep.
I'm gonna say this is like the orange belt of a horror movie fan.
Yeah. Like
Like at
we
some
said
point, you
before,
just have to watch it to
this
Yeah.
isn't
advance to the
Fulci's
next level.
best, so don't let this like turn you off on Fulci because it's not his best.
It's not the full Fulci. This is
No.
like
Right.
half Fulci.
This is
Yeah.
Fulci like when he's almost dead.
Damn, Bill.
So I'm pretty sure he died like 5 years later or some shit like that.
Yeah, he died. He died. This is this
I
is
would
like
hope
post
he died later
diabetes,
because he
low
made more
key.
movies after this.
Let's see when he died. Let's see. He died. Oh no, man, he lived a lot longer. He died like in '96. I thought he died in the '80s.
What did he make? I mean, has he made? Did he make anything? Oh, he
The
did. He made.
last.
Well, 1997 was his last movie. No, it was just a screenplay that he wrote.
Let's see.
Mm.
Last thing he directed was in '91, and it was called Door to Silence. But I guess his name was H. Simon Kittay, is the name he went under, which is weird.
It's a name he totally made up on the spot, by the way.
He probably said,
Yeah.
"Man, this is my worst movie ever. I'm gonna have a fake name."
I was like, oh, Mr. Fakaname, please come in. No, no, no. It's pronounced Mr. Fake Name.
Yeah, because he says he's known for like zombies. Not even on it. It's Murder Rock, City of the Living Dead, A Cat in the Brain, and The House by the Cemetery are his like the four movies that he's like number one, or I mean known for the most. And it's like no, it's not. Like Zombie 2. When I think of him, I think of Zombie 2.
Yeah. So, like again, I guess I'll get patreon.com/podcast from beneath, and make sure you tune in next week.
Yeah, smash that subscribe button. Hashtag fuckhouse.
Hashtag.
Or
Hashtag
I mean,
justice
just
for
for
Bob.
Bob.
This is for Bob, aka Fuck House.
Oh, that's it right there. That's our next real movie. We have to make it. The last fuckhouse on the left.
There you go.
Bob, it's gonna be called Bob's Fuck House.
That just sounds like a fucking kids show that went wrong.
All right. I
Anyhow.
guess we'll end it on that note.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.